Some anglers dream of fishing the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. Some dream of winning. Still others become champions. Today you're going to see a remarkable feat seldom accomplished in any sport, as one angler tastes the thrill of victory back to back. It's all coming up next on the Bassmasters, right here on TNN Outdoors. Today, the Bassmaster Tournament Trail returns to the birthplace of the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society, to the lake where it all began, Ross Barnett Reservoir in Jackson, Mississippi.
That's right, folks. It's been nearly 30 years ago that I was in Jackson, Mississippi at the Ramada Inn, making plans for a fishing trip with my good buddy Don Norton. Well, it turned out that Don couldn't go fishing because of business, but he let me go with a buddy of his, Lloyd Lewis. We went to a nearby lake, and believe it or not, the weather was terrible, and we gave up after about 3 hours. Now, back in the Ramada Inn, after planning supper that night with Lloyd, I dried out, and the idea for the first professional bass fishing tournament popped in my head.
So I went back to the Ramada Inn. We went to Creechells for supper. And he said, you know what I was laying there in my motel room thinking about? And I said, no. He says, well, we have basketball tournaments and football tournaments, baseball tournaments. He said, I think it's time we was having some bass tournaments. I said, no, let's don't mess up these lakes for a whole bunch of bass fishermen. He said, well, what if we throw them all back? And I said, well, now you might start people putting some Florida bass in these Mississippi lakes. He said, you got it, you got it. As far as my part is it, all I did was eat oysters. This man did the rest of it.
That was 30 years ago. Today, we're headed back to Ross Barnett, and fishing conditions are as tough now as they were then.
When you get a wind like this, all your ledges out in the main lake are unfishable. You just can't get on these places and sit there and fish with a 20 or 25 mile an hour wind. So this time of the year, this is where you're gonna catch most of your fish, on your ledges down in the main lake. You got some 3-foot rollers out there right now, and it's making it difficult to even get from takeoff a spot to up the river where you can fish a little bit. But the fish are just not up there because the water's so muddy. We got a few pockets up there that's got holding a few fish, but that's where most of your fishermen are at. If everybody's just on top of each other right now. But this is a good lake, got a lot of good fish in it. Right now, you just can't get to where the fish are.
But someone will always find and catch bass. Today, you're going to see a story of 3 generations of a Bassin family, as Pete Pons takes up where his daddy left off and hopes to pass the tradition of bass fishing to his own son. Plus, we'll follow a hot young pro into the shallow flats of Ross Barnett Reservoir to get an up-close lesson on stump fishing. This is a show full of shallow water tips, so stay tuned. I'm Ray Scott, the Bassmaster.
As the sun comes up over Ross Barnett Reservoir just outside Jackson, Mississippi, 320 bass fishing pros are headed out to work. We're at the second stop this season along the Bassmaster Invitational Trail Central Division. Just a month ago, Mike McClelland captured the Arkansas Invitational in Pine Bluff, fishing a spinnerbait in shallow grass. Mike's back to tackle this historic bass factory. 30 years ago, when Ray Scott first visited here, Ross Barnett had just been impounded and was one of the nation's top bass fishing spots. Today, all the standing timber that once lined the main river channel is gone, and prop-busting stumps are all that's left. But fishing ledges on the lower end is still a preferred winter pattern. Jim Butch is a local angler who knows this lake.
The fish are still staging off some of these old ledges. There's still stumps and rocks and different structure that lay along these ledges.
Pete Pons is a Jackson native who grew up fishing here. Pete knows the main lake ledges well and is braving a 25-mile-an-hour wind and 3-foot waves to fish the big water.
The lake is really separated into two parts. You have the main lake where we're at now, and you have above Highway 43. The main lake is pretty much open. It's very susceptible to the wind and weather conditions. The upper part of the lake, where the river is, you have numerous cuts and sheltered areas that you can get into.
And fishing one of those isolated areas is Lake Fork, Texas pro Stan Gerzeni. Stan's catching schooling bass that are active on top early this first morning.
There's a lot of fish in this creek, a lot of shad, and my whole game plan has just been an early deal. So first thing in the morning, they're schooling. Basically catch them on about anything you want to throw right at daylight. We caught them on sluggos and topwaters, shallow running crankbaits. What they're doing when they quit schooling, they're suspending. It's only 6 feet. They're sitting about 3 feet deep. Kind of a touchy deal. They want something small, something slow, something suspended. And if you can put all that in one little package, you're doing good.
There he is right. Stan Gerzeni has another bass on. He's caught this one also on a topwater, on a sluggo. Little rainstorm has moved through the area late this morning. Stan has already caught 8 bass today. He's culling, and it should put him in real good shape going into the first day weigh-in.
Folks, watch this, a new leader. 10 pounds, 8 ounces. Mark it, pick them up. Pick up 2 of the
But that won't top the leaderboard today. Here's Pete Pons.
And the weight. Pete has 11 pounds and 14 ounces. People, let's give him a big Pons welcome.
So Pete Pons takes a 1 pound, 6 ounce lead over Stan Gerzeni and Darren Wolf on the Jersey's Activewear leaderboard. Fishing was so bad today that these 320 pros only caught a total of 253 bass weighing 459 pounds. Tournament leader Pete Pons is fishing ledges out on the main river channel at the lower end of Ross Barnett Reservoir.
It's a stump bed out there. The stump bed's about 5 feet, and it drops off into about 15. And the fish are holding in the deeper water. As the weather warms in the afternoon, generally the fish will move up and feed. The wind's making it tough right now. Pretty good fish.
Pete Pons is the 37-year-old son of old-time pro Bob Pons. This Bassin family helped put the sport on the map during those early years when Ray Scott was struggling to make tournament bass fishing a household name. Back then, Pete was just a boy, and many times Bob would leave him in the driveway wanting to go along. Bob says that was the single best thing he ever did to give his son a love for fishing.
The main advice to give parents to get their children interested in fishing, don't make them go fishing, make them want to go fishing. Leave home and leave them in a sad way, maybe even crying a couple of times. That creates a big desire to fish.
Leave a boy crying in the driveway while his daddy's going fishing? Sounds cruel, but did it work?
I think he raised me to be a fisherman because he trained me in all the ways that would help me later on. And made me cast left-handed when I didn't want to cast left-handed. Boy, I remember standing out there throwing backlash and casting and casting and casting and never stopping. And I'm happy he did now because I think you need every advantage you can get in this, the way it is today, the way the pros are, man. I'm telling you, these guys are really good. I don't think it matters how old you are, you still want to make your father proud of you. And I think that's what's important in life is just to have goals, set them, and try to achieve them.
Hey, I want to tell you something.
And that's what I'm going to try to teach my son, Justin.
This Bassmaster Mississippi Invitational is about to take a surprising turn.
That's the
and
kind
we'll
of fish
show you what we mean. Ross Barnett Reservoir, Winter Bassin, a 2-foot lake drawdown. Strong winds, muddy water, slow fishing. Not the time of year this lake shows its true colors. Pete Pons holds the top spot on the Jersey's Activewear leaderboard after 2 days of competition. But look at 12th place, 6 pounds, 5 ounces back, there's Mike McClelland, the young pro from Springdale, Arkansas, who, as we told you earlier, won last month's Arkansas Invitational. And he's about to do it again.
All right, let me weigh this fish. He needs 11 pounds and 1 ounce to take the lead. Let's weigh him quick. 11-1 to take the lead. Watch it. Watch it. Folks, he did it. 13 pounds. 13 pounds, 3 ounces. That's it. There's your new leader. Mike just won himself a tournament. Mike, you did it.
It's great, Ray. just have to say the good Lord was looking out for me.
Mike McClelland vaults from 12th to the winner's circle to win back-to-back Bassmaster Invitational tournaments. That hasn't happened in over 12 years when Charlie Ingram won 2 consecutive invitationals during the 83-84 season. Stan Gerzini is second. Pete Pons drops to third, but still made his father proud. To find out how Mike McClelland put together this incredible performance, our Bassmasters TV camera crew took a ride in Mike's boat the next day to get a close-up look at the winning pattern. And we'll have his seminar on stumps next.